Hey, hi, I'm at my show at EISBOX Projects. Elliot Schwartz, the director, the creator, is filming us right now. So let's go take a quick look at the show. My thinking on this show was that I would have two notions of my work. The front room, which are these pictures that have been done over the course of 5 years. I wanted them to be open readings. Basically, they don't come with a text. If you have to ask yourself, what's the purpose of this picture? Why should I care about it? Then they're kind of lost. The virtue of them is you either find them compelling or unlikely, or they have no utility. And that idea of the open text is one of the bedrock conventions of modernism. A lot of work operates that way. In fact, I'd say most work operates that way. But what I also do is I make sculpture that is constructed in almost a completely opposite way. And let's go into the second room, and I want to show you these objects I've made also for about 5 years.
Carrie, these are photographs, correct? They're not drawings or paintings.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, they're all photographs. It was when digital cameras came along that I started getting in the habit of carrying it with me. And they're roughly part of the ongoing project of within 20th century photography, which is looking for the surprise moment. So they're all, in fact, I can walk you through a couple of these. Hood of a Chrysler, and I just love the way the decayed paint and the trees created a false landscape. This is this little head. I've been saying jokingly about it, it's the face in the head, because this is a toilet bowl in the World Trade Center. And the mask over it is the light above, giving the mask over Buddha. And this secondary shadow is me photographing. So they've got these little surprising elements in it. This is a fire at night. This is Indian movie poster. I'm not going to unpack all of these, but I particularly like this one, for example. And, you know, in a way what I'm doing right now almost ruins the art, because I think what's enjoyable about them is that you, the viewer, have to figure out what's interesting about them. But I will tell you what I liked about this. This is the front car of a subway, and this is old scratchiti on the front glass, and you're looking through the scratched glass into a subway station. And I just think it makes such a surprising image. This is a hole I found in an abandoned building. And I looked into the hole with the camera, and I saw all those conical Dixie cups that no one has seen in, what, 30, 40 years? They used to be in these dispensers. So I just thought that was a kind of surprising image. And this may be the most surprising, and then I'll stop talking about the pictures. I've shown this picture to a lot of people, and I asked them after they look at it, what is this a picture of? And almost invariably, not almost invariably, no one knows what it's a picture of. And then I give the clue, and the clue is, you've seen this before. And after I say that, half the people go, oh my God, I know what it is. And what it is people taking their bags down from an airplane. The reason no one knows what it looks like is because no one's looking at the world when they're getting off an airplane. It's one of those little invisible zones. And what's interesting to me about photography is that it can say, in effect, hey, look at that, when everybody else in their right mind isn't bothering. So let's go and then check out the sculpture. The thing I wanted to do in the second room was start here where you're seeing basically the backs of all of these objects. And I wanted people to come in and see the backs of them, basically be confronted with something that operates the way the photographs operate. So from here, they're basically open text. Do whatever you want with these things. But in fact, they operate, as I was saying earlier, they operate almost the other way from the pictures. Because what happens when you come around the table is these funky little objects, which are basically, you know, little boxes with plastic things in them, or Dixie cups, Or this was some paint that was left in a can and it's froze in that shape. This is some packing material that I began to fold in half to destroy, and then thought, you know, it's kind of interesting. And this is something I made based on my neighborhood. So when you come around, you realize then that these abstract objects are, through the power of scale and language, converted into models of real things. And that's what interests me about these, is that they do have an absolute meaning. Unlike the openness of the photos, these, I think, are basically a closed text. If you don't do this with them, they don't work. And it's, you know, you could argue this, you could say, well, I don't want to do that with it. And I say, hey, be my guest. But the way these are understood, the way I understand them, is that they're a closed reading. Doing this is the interesting thing to do. And this is the last one. It operates exactly like the independent pieces, but it's sort of like a system. It works more like a system. And over here we have Nigerian oil pipeline. And what was interesting about this, I'll just tell you how this happened. This is a packing, little blister pack that had 2 hooks in it. And one day I took them and I just poured some paint in it absentmindedly, slipped the card back in, turned it over, and the paint leaked out. And after the paint leaked out, I thought, oh wow, that's like oil leaking out of a pipeline. And then I began to think about the Nigerians and how people are always compromising the pipelines because the government is so corrupt. I thought, that's interesting. So this became part of the infrastructure, world infrastructure model. I say, overstating this junk before us. And then this, I thought was interesting, because there are these things in the world called server farms. There are these large buildings, a lot of them are in Washington State, and they're these huge white buildings filled with computers, and they're on rivers, and the river water runs up through the cooling pipes to cool them, and these server farms are what run everybody's computers. The other 2 are the veal factory, and they have these windowless little things. So we've got now the oil of our world, we've got the internet, and we've got the veal factory we're feeding ourselves tragically. And the final one was water treatment plant, and that's, I think, speaks for itself. So, I mean, it's finally just a box of junk, but I think once these words get stuck to it, it starts to be kind of interesting. And if you don't have any questions, Elliot, I think that's it.
Thank you, Gary.